Well, nobody's on here yet, but I wanted to welcome you guys with Rise with Kimberly. I am going to have a special guest on today that I'm going to interview, and we're going to talk about what it means to rise, what it means to rise when life gets messy. So I'm going to bring on my special guest when she comes on. Hey, everybody. Hey, hey, hey. Um, Again, this is Rise with Kimberly, and I have a special guest who's going to come on today. And we are going to talk about what it means to rise when life gets messy. We all can relate to that, right? So I'm waiting for her to come on, and once she comes on, we'll start. But how y'all doing? I see y'all waving at me. Vita, how you doing? Cher, how you doing? Tasha, how you doing? Who is that? Myunq, how you doing? How y'all doing? um I'm waiting for my special guest to come on, and once she comes on, we'll get started. But y'all know what it's like to have to rise after going through a hard time in life, right? And what better time to have this discussion than now to bring hope and, just share our stories. Hey, 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 hey. Um, hey, I see you, Dimple. I see you. Um, Hopefully she will be on. Yes, Tasha, child. Yes. Hey, Sharon. So, hey, Sabah, how you doing? Sabah? Um, my video paused because Siri was interjecting or whatever. My special guest should be on soon, y'all. But here she is. There she is. Hold on, I'm going to bring her on because I think this thing is going to cut us off in an hour. So I want us to be able to get going. Hold on. Hey, beautiful. How you doing?
Hi.
So everyone, this is my sister friend, Nichelle Wilson. She is in Atlanta, Georgia. How you doing, Nichelle?
I'm doing well. How are you? All the way in Dubai?
Um, well, Kuwait, girl, Kuwait, all the way in
Okay,
Kuwait.
Kuwait.
Yes, right next door to Dubai, though, not far.
So
So,
sorry I'm late. For whatever reason, I was like, oh, Facebook. And then I'm like on Facebook and I'm like, no, wrong platform. All
girl,
right.
don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I'm just so happy that you agreed to do this interview.
Of
I was
course.
I was telling everyone before you got on that this is Rise with Kimberly, and we're gonna just have a girl chat about, how to rise when life gets messy. And I think everybody can relate to that. And what better time to talk about it than now, right?
Yeah,
Um,
true.
so, Nichelle, what I want to do is I'm going to do like a couple of fun icebreaker questions just so they can get to know you first. And then I'll go into the interview, okay?
Okay.
So, my first icebreaker question for you is, if you moved to Sesame Street, who would you want as your neighbor and why?
Okay, don't judge me. So,
Uh-huh.
as a kid, I did not really watch cartoons.
Are
So,
you serious?
I would have to say, oddly enough, and only because I'm like a very sentimental and emotional person, because
Yes.
there's an Ernie on Sesame Street. I have
Mm-hmm.
an Uncle Ernie. So that's
So
why.
Ernie would be your neighbor. Oh, I love it.
Now, I can't tell you much about Ernie on Sesame Street. However, I have an Uncle Ernie, so that's now with the Lord. However, growing up, I was like, oh my God, there's an Uncle Ernie on TV. So, yeah.
Right. I love it. I love it. Okay, if you were an ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Um, Mango sorbet, because mango is my favorite fruit and it's fresh and it's lively. The color is just like a vibe in itself. So, yeah.
Yes, it is. I love that. I love that. What scene in a movie always gives you goosebumps every time you watch it?
Okay, so I didn't grow up watching a lot of TV, and I also don't watch a lot of movies or shows.
Girl, I don't, I know,
So
I
I'm
still
like,
don't watch a lot of TV myself.
I think any movie, I'm just a sucker for emotion. So any movie that
Yeah.
just makes me feel like, oh my God, that kind of feeling. I don't have a movie that just like come to play that I will cry and cry. I mean, I guess maybe growing up, The Notebook was something
Okay.
that would make me cry. Who's not?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for a love story. So
Yes, yes. Okay, what is the one thing about you that surprises people?
that surprises people.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that will surprise people that get to know me is that
Mm-hmm.
I have like a harder shell than
Mm-hmm.
what I really am, for real, for real. So
Okay.
I
Yes.
think
Yes.
that probably would shock people, like once, or even I've had people to say, "Oh my God, you are so down to earth and
Mm-hmm.
so cool," and I'm like, "Oh my God, what did you think I was?" Like, so it makes me want people to get to know me.
Right, right. So, one last icebreaker question. If you were running for office, what would your campaign slogan be?
If I was running for an office, um, that's a good icebreaker question. So I don't know what my slogan would be because I would have to consult with my creative friends.
Yes,
I believe in
yes.
partnerships. I would definitely have to
Good
consult with
answer.
my
Good answer.
creative friends. However, it will be something of the lines of like, I'm gonna get it done. So we'll be creative, but basically
Yes,
like, something ethical, trustworthy, fun, non-judgmental. But yeah,
yes.
I have to
I
consult
got
with
it.
my creative team.
I got you. I got you. Okay, so for those of you who just joined, this is my sister friend, Nichelle Wilson, and we are about to dive into a conversation about how to rise when life gets messy. We can all relate to that, right? So, Nichelle, I guess my first question is like, just tell us a little bit about Nichelle. What were you like growing up? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. From what my mother explains to me growing up, the pieces that I obviously wouldn't remember, um, I was a sweet little girl that loved my family. I was an only child for 8 years, so pretty
Wow.
much had my own way a lot. And then
Mm-hmm.
I lived overseas, so I grew up in Germany, and
Wow.
so I was a military brat essentially. But I just remember
Mm-hmm.
in my childhood, I just had so much fun with like my parents, and I didn't realize that my parents were so young when they had me. They had me. My mom was 16 and my dad was 17, and
Wow.
I never, ever, ever, ever knew that until I graduated from college. Is when I actually did the math. I was like, oh my God, y'all are young, you know.
Right.
So I think having the type of parents that I had, they were extra determined for me to not make certain decisions that they made when they were younger or having more of a fast-paced life or whatever that may be. So I
Mm-hmm.
grew up as a military brat, very structured. Um, and then my sisters came along when I was 8 and 10, and then I just really dove into the big sister role. And I just grew up with a very close knit family. We, spent a lot of time overseas. So my mom, dad, me, we were all really close. And then
Yeah.
moving around, my parents would say, this is one memory that my dad say, I always wanted friends, and
Mm-hmm.
I would give all my friends everything that I had. So he said one
Wow.
day he caught me. We lived on the fourth floor in Germany in the building, which is the highest of that particular building. And he said he caught me opening up the window, throwing all my popsicles out at everybody. You get a popsicle, you get a popsicle,
Oh,
you get a
yes.
popsicle.
I
So those are
love
just
it.
pieces of me. I was always really giving, I guess, is what they would say, and
Hmm.
always loved having a lot of fun. I was a crybaby, um,
Me too.
and I'm probably still one. People don't really know it, but I'm probably still a big crybaby. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So, what do you find yourself thinking about when you're alone? Like when you're alone, what does Nichelle think about?
As a mother now, I think a lot about like my future, and
Hmm.
um, I just think about like death is, is just going to come when it comes. But I
Right.
think a lot of time I think like, oh my God, like I don't want to die. I don't know if I don't want to die. Like that's really what I think
Right.
about, to be honest. Like I have this child that loves me, that looks up to me, and
Hmm.
he's young. So that's what I think about. And I just think about what our future would be and like all the memories that we will create together. Um,
Hmm.
all the lives that, we will touch and make a difference together as like a mother-daughter team. So those are
Hmm.
things that I often think about in my downtime. Or I also just think about things that happened for that day and just reflect.
Right.
More of like a reflector.
Right. I got you. So, can you tell us or share a story with us about a time in your life where life got messy and take us through the process of how you had to rise and get up from that?
Um, yes, I can, because I still feel like I'm rising,
Okay.
through that.
Okay. Yes. And we
Um,
all are.
I think for me, it was when I had gotten married. I had fallen in
Hmm.
love, and some people would say, "Oh my God, it happened so quick." But I've always been a fan of like when you know, and
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's real, you feel that it's real, and that's just what it was for me. It
Hmm.
obviously was not that for my ex-husband, but that's what it was for me. And we did all
Right.
the things that people do. You go to relationship counseling and all this other kind of stuff, and that's what we did before we got engaged and before we got married. And then I moved from everything that I had ever known in my 30s to a very unfamiliar environment with, I
Hmm.
thought, a familiar individual. And once I moved,
Hmm.
I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was. And through that scenario of me being married, I realized the importance. I'm kind of going to jump all over the place because it's kind of like
Okay.
how I had to process it. But I
Hmm.
realized my childhood played a huge role in that for me, because I knew what love was, what love felt
Mm.
like. The
Yes.
relationships that I had in my life, man, women, family related, it was all full of love. And
Hmm.
because of that, I knew what love didn't feel like instantly.
Yes.
And where
Yes.
people say, "Oh, the first year of your marriage is really hard, and you gotta da 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 da," but when you just like when you know when you don't know either. And I
Right.
knew that it was not something healthy that I had entered in, and I got into a mode of, how do I protect my peace? How do I protect my reputation? How do I protect my family? I was all over the place in my mind, just doing everything for everyone else except for myself at the time, which
Hmm.
caused me to go into a depression that I did not know that I was in. And
Yeah.
while in a depression, I was pregnant. I found out that I was pregnant. Like I was almost 3 months by the time I found out I was pregnant. And
Wow.
I had a very, very, very rough pregnancy. And on top of a rough pregnancy, I did not have a supportive spouse, where
Mm.
I pretended he was supportive.
Wow.
He pretended that he was supportive. He loved me on Facebook. He loved me on Instagram. He loved
Hmm.
me if we went out on a date. But behind closed doors, it was a very different love story that wasn't
Hmm.
loving. And we don't have enough time, but
Hmm.
to basic, it just was a very unhealthy relationship that became extremely volatile and abusive, and
Mhm.
abusive financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually,
Mhm.
before it even had become physical. It was physical here and there,
Wow.
but it was a lot of the other stuff, which is how I
Yeah.
really didn't know. You know, it was just, I didn't know. I'm like, oh my God, but I want to help people. So I'm like, oh, he's just,
Yeah.
maybe I should just pray, and maybe I should just
Mhm.
help him. And maybe he's just going through a lot, and whatever the case may be, but not thinking of my health and my safety. So, again, rough pregnancy, times that I could not even go home. I had to get hotels while I was pregnant, and
Mm.
not share my location with anyone, not even my family, not even my friends, because I'm protecting, you know, this image at this point. And
Mm.
I just became a person that I did not know who I was anymore. And in the process,
Mhm.
I lost a lot of friends, um, which was really hard for me because, like I mentioned earlier, my dad
Mhm.
always said, I always wanted friends. I always wanted friends. And
Right.
I was always good to people because I wanted their friendship. So I think that's what really hurt me a lot, like the friendships that I lost through it. But it made me stronger. And
Mhm.
um, ultimately, I'm being very transparent here, but ultimately, shortly after I had my child, the relationship that I was in, um, he not only put his hands on me, but he put his hands on my child. And
Mhm.
at 2 months, I nearly lost my child. A lot of
Mm.
people don't know this, but yeah, at 2 months, I
Mm.
nearly lost my child. And she was 2 centimeters, according to the doctors. I'm an
Wow.
expert, from dying. So um, it was really, it was tough. And I was in a
Wow.
place where I had no one, no family, no friends. You know, I
Mm.
had him telling one story, and I'm just not the vibrant and outspoken and confident woman that I thought that I was. I was very
Yeah.
opposite. I really had become
Mhm.
someone that I just wasn't. And I was lost. And because of that situation, Child Protective Services had to get involved. And I am so happy they did, because they saved my life. And
Wow.
the lady that was the therapist that was assigned to my case, um, shared with me that I was going to die,
Mm.
and play back all these scenarios where I should have probably had been dead. But it was by
Mm.
God's grace that I wasn't. And
Right.
they're going to get worse. So I had to take action, not for me, but for my child also, that didn't deserve to be born into a circus. Um,
Mm.
so I did what I had to do. I had an action plan. I worked closely with the law, and,
Mhm.
did a lot of things
Wow.
that people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you. They just had no idea what I was dealing with behind scenes, and why I did and what I did. And then sometimes, with those friends or people that cared, sometimes people just don't know. And I was in
Mhm.
a situation that I seen it on Lifetime, but I
Yeah.
didn't see
Yeah.
it in person before.
Mhm.
So it was unfamiliar for me. So it's like, I don't even know how to act. I don't even know what to do. All this stuff is happening to me. Oh my God. So I wound up having to escape from that situation, literally, as it sounds,
Mhm.
escape. And I had to pretend I was one place for my safety with him. And then I had to physically be in another place. And in the midst of
Wow.
that, keep my child safe. So it was really hard, like, doing this
Yeah.
whole thing or whatever, until we were actually in a safe place, in a safe position. So
Mhm.
literally, that was in 2016. When I say I'm still rising through it, the
Yeah.
last court date that I had in dealing with this case was on my daughter's birthday, 2020.
Wow, Nichelle.
So I've been
Wow.
experiencing coronavirus. I've been, I've been feeling like it was on my daughter's birthday this year.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
but I'll just say God is good, and anyone that is dealing with a situation that just feels like it's for forever,
Mhm.
it may be for forever, but as long as you're doing the right stuff. Like, a
Mhm.
year ago when my daughter turned 3, Mom, who's my dad? What does he look like? Where is he? Show me a picture. Like, 3,
Wow.
I told my therapist, I'm like, I wasn't prepared for this. Oh my God.
Right.
You know, she's like,
Right.
are you married? Let me see some pictures. I'm like, what? I just wasn't ready. But the good thing about it, I have a very amazing relationship with my daughter, and she comprehends so much at a young age. And
Right.
oh, to the point, she did my makeup today. Well, she helped do my makeup
All
today.
right, Hannah Marie. Yes.
She was like, I can do it. I can do it. This is the first time I probably put on anything in a month. But I explained to her, you know, what fathers look like. You know, you have a
Mm,
biological father, there's stepfathers, there's grandfathers, there's your heavenly father. There's,
yes.
you know, so I really broke it down to her, and she has a good understanding. Unfortunate and fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, my daughter is living a life without her biological father being present.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, he's not part of her life because he's a sick individual. And
Right.
I spare, you know, I spare no expense when I say he's a sick individual.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to get help. And what he was doing to me, I realized he had been doing to women for, at that time, 12 years. I had a woman that
Wow.
contacted me privately, anonymously, and was like, please stop. He's going to kill you and your daughter. You have no idea what he did to
Wow.
me. And I don't even know who this woman was. And
Yeah.
it's just, I was just like, I can't stop. I'm fighting for you. I'm fighting for me. And I'm fighting for other women in this world that needs to know that you deserve better. You
Yes.
deserve better, and your children deserve better. And I
Mm-hmm.
thank God that I'm raising my child in a love environment, because if I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't raised in a loving environment, I might still be in that type of situation thinking that that toxicity was just okay. And it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. It
Yeah.
was not. And those are the things also that I think about more often than I say.
Mm-hmm.
If I was still in that situation, my daughter would not be as amazing as she is. She wouldn't know how to be.
Mm.
She wouldn't know how to be, because she would be caught up in a circus that a child should not be a part of.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so
Mm-hmm.
that's pieces of my story that, you know, people don't know, that I definitely had to rise through, and still rising through. I lost everything. I lost a job, I lost my house, I lost my car, I lost, again, like I said, I lost
Wow.
I thought was really dear to me.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially these things were taken from me. He took these
Mm.
from me. He
Wow.
sabotaged a lot of things that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have enough strength to fight for, to fight through. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
career that I had had for 16 years, I had
Mm-hmm.
to walk away. Yes,
Right.
baby cakes. I have mascara on. Oh, Shucky Ducky. Maybe put my mascara on you so I can look the same just like you. Oh, you look beautiful. Mama, I want some milk, please. Okay, I need to get you some milk. Maybe some milk. So yeah, so anyway, that's pretty much what I had gone through.
Mm-hmm.
Just skipping around, just giving bits and pieces of it as to why I'm now who I am becoming,
Yes.
and which that is just really important to me, and it's important to me, which is why I birthed through this. I birthed a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
You could use the one that's in your room, because I don't know where it went. I was looking for it too. T. Jazz said you had it. Go get the one out of your room. No, I won't have any more remote controls for my friend. It's okay. We could just rotate them. Okay? It's all good. What was I saying? Knocked me off my train of
Um, no, it's okay. But I was going to ask you, so when you say that you lost friends, and I know you said that he sabotaged a lot, like were they friends that you were they people that you have been with friends with for a long time, or what made the friendships end?
I think it really was some of it. He sabotaged. Obviously, he was saying
Mm-hmm.
things that wasn't true, and again, I wasn't strong enough to fight back. I wasn't strong enough to
Mm-hmm.
dispel all the things that were being said. It was just too much. I was, you know, my daughter came a month early too, by the way. And
Mhm.
so I was dealing with that. I thought they told me I was going to be delivering a stillborn child. By the grace of God, she was not.
Wow.
And I had to have a blood transfusion right afterwards.
Mm.
Even in a hospital, he had done some things to me, hindsight 2020, where you're like, wait, what just happened? You know how you kind of doped up, you had
Right.
a child, you doped up on meds, and you like, wait, you want me to do what? Sorry, I got to get my
Right.
charger. My phone
It's
gonna hang
okay.
up on you. But I think with those relationships, those friendships, it was just a matter of, I had been so open and so transparent in my life, and I never had gone through anything so traumatic like that.
Yeah.
So they didn't understand me being quiet. And I think
Got
it
you.
may at some point may have pushed people away,
Mhm.
and me not knowing how to articulate what actually I was going through. Because again, I have parents that's been together since they were 15 years old. I had family
Right.
members that did not know what I was going through because it was hard to talk to them. You know, I had
Mhm.
no one that I felt like could relate to me. I'm the
Mm.
oldest grandchild in my family. My daughter's the only grandchild in my immediate family. So it was just a lot of different things. And I just think that it was a misunderstanding, some, and some was just, maybe it was just God's way of, you know, preparing me for this next season and being
Right.
okay with being alone. Because I had a
Mm.
surgery in 2014 and I was
Mhm.
out for 6 weeks. And I promise you, for 6 weeks, every single
Mhm.
day, one time, I was alone. My friends rotated for 6 weeks straight. I was never alone. And
Mhm.
going through this, I felt so alone. And I
Mhm.
think I needed it. I really think that I needed it. It made me become a stronger mother, stronger in my faith. Because when I went through
Mhm.
all of that, I was like, God, there's no way God loved me. Ain't no way he loved me.
Mhm.
I've been faithful, and this is what you give me? What? I was like, oh
Right.
God, no. So it turned me away. You know, it's so funny. When I lived in Texas, I lived to the right of me was a church, like a church
Mhm.
in Old Third Ward, where Beyonce's from. And then
Mhm.
to the left of me was a psychiatric ward. And my
Wow.
house sat in the middle,
Mm.
in the middle. And ironically, the woman that delivered my daughter lived in my same neighborhood.
Mm.
And I didn't even know it until
Wow.
well, actually, she didn't deliver my baby. She became her pediatrician. So I met her
Right.
the day that my daughter came. But yeah, so
Mhm.
I just think it was that. And I just think sometimes people don't know what to say and nothing is said. So time has
Mhm.
passed. And then it's like,
Right.
what do you do? You know, like, how do you bring it up? And then life just changes. So it's a
Right. Right.
combination of some things.
Mhm.
There are some people that probably was deliberately messy and mean, but that's life. That's to be expected.
Right. Yeah, for
That's to be
sure.
expected.
For sure. So the recent court cases, like, because of everything that you've gone through, like, is he allowed custody? Is that what,
No, the funny but not funny part about this is the recent court cases had absolutely nothing to do with the child or child custody. There's a
Oh,
warrant
wow.
for his arrest because of what he's done to me and my child. And because he's one place and we're another place, he's refusing to come to this place. So he was wanting the judge to withdraw, in, I don't know all the legal terms, but with basically withdraw the warrant
Mhm.
for his arrest. And
Okay.
so we have but the day of my divorce, he voluntarily wrote a letter, and I did not know this was going to happen. But the day of my divorce, he did not show up. He voluntarily wrote a letter to the judge saying that he was abandoning my child, our child rather,
Oh,
and
wow.
he wanted no parts of her life. And that's a hard truth that I have to live with. But again, you know, it's tough, but that's the situation with that. He relinquished his
Mhm.
right voluntarily. The judge said in her 30 years of sitting on the bench that has never happened before, and
Mhm.
um,
Wow.
that's what happened. And a year later, a year after that, which was last year, that's when I was like, you know what? That's our reality. So I actually
Yeah.
changed my daughter's last name. Judge's
Mhm.
recommendation. and I got me and her name changed back to Wilson on the same
Mm-hmm.
day. So she can feel a part of something.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But we also have, and what a lot of people don't know, we have a permanent protective order.
Okay.
And a permanent protective order, again, is very hard to accomplish. So it's like, I don't want to bash people, but I want people to understand the realistic effects of what they
Mm-hmm.
do when they hurt children, when they hurt, women and that can't defend
Mm-hmm.
themselves, or even if we could defend ourselves, it's just there's consequences,
Yeah, for
and you
sure.
don't have to fight fire with fire. You don't have to, shoot someone because they shot you. Sometimes it takes a long process. Like I said, it's 2020 and I had court this year on my daughter's birthday.
Mm.
Money. This is attorney fees, for four years growing. But I can't think of another way that I feel very protected
Mm-hmm.
because I did it the right way, in the legal way. After
Right.
everything that I had endured before I remember I had to escape. So um, it's unfortunate, but I feel like it's very fortunate because it could be a very different outcome. 2 centimeters not
Absolutely.
a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
it could be very different.
Right. So if you could give a piece of advice to a woman who could possibly be watching, um, that has gone through this or is currently going through this, what would you say to her?
I would say that it's not easy. And to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, through my nonprofit, Happy Mama, Happy Minnie, which
I
is an
love that.
organization that, thank you, which is an organization that I started to kind of be able to talk about, these type of things, and not just for moms and children, but it's for the village too, because it takes a
Yes.
village. And,
Yes.
before I was a mom, I was a godmom, a aunt, a TT,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case may be. I was in other people's lives, and I not considered myself part of their families. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Nanny will get you some water. And so I would just tell them that you're not alone, and to get help. Like, it is totally okay to get help. Like,
Mm-hmm.
help saved my life. Me and my daughter
Yeah.
would be here today. Literally, me and my daughter would not be here today. I had the
Wow.
therapist that was assigned to our case with Child
Mm-hmm.
Protective Services had to call the police for me and
Mm-hmm.
had to
Mm-hmm.
stay there to to save me and my daughter from being hurt
Right.
from an irate person,
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't care that day. There's no telling
Mm-hmm.
what would have happened had that lady not been there. There's multiple situations where I was getting my hair done, and if that person wasn't there at my house with me, there's just no telling what would have happened. So it's tough. And it's tough
Mm-hmm.
because most men or women that are like that, um, they're so nice to the world. They're so
Mm.
charming,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm feisty. So no one would believe that I endured what I endured. Like, no way. But it happens, it's like, and he would use that against me. He would use that with my family. Oh, she's so feisty. This, that, and things that are
Mm.
part of my character that would make one believe what he would say. And again, I wasn't disputing anything because I knew
Right.
the truth. I knew
Mm-hmm.
it just took too much energy. At first I was, and I was like, I literally cried every single day for well over a year. Every
Mm.
single day.
Yes, Nichelle. Mm.
Every single day. And back to your question, and back to me mentioning my nonprofit, some people can read in between the lines of the things that I was going through. And I privately have helped, at least in the past year, 5 women leave
Yeah, that's
their
awesome.
situations in a safe
Wow.
way, whether it
Mm-hmm.
was connecting them to
Hi, Hannah Marie.
Hi,
How are you?
that's a mermaid.
That's your mermaid? I love it. It's so cool. Oh, look at her hair. It's blue. I love it.
Thank you. I love blue. Maybe my hair is blue.
I'll let your hair be blue, but you go over there. Go back over there. We'll
No,
try.
I want to play with you.
No, you can't play with me right now. I know. Go do Nanny's hair. Ask Nanny, can you do her makeup? Because you did my makeup. Yeah. Ask Nanny, can you do her makeup? Got to negotiate with my child every day.
Yes, yes, I
So,
understand.
my train of thought. Oh,
So
yes.
you
So
were
I
talking about
privately
yeah.
help
Mm-hmm.
women. Yes. And
Mm.
in a very silent way. Some women
Wow.
never met, some women
Mm-hmm.
that I've only talked to, but I connected them to the right people to get out of their situations in a very safe way, because that's what's important, to be safe,
Yeah.
especially when children are involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think my daughter saved my life. I don't know if I would have been as diligent in leaving as I was,
Wow.
because
Mm-hmm.
again, it's like someone can hurt you, someone could put their hands on you, but when you're hurting an innocent child,
Right.
that's too
Mm-hmm.
much. To
Mm-hmm.
hurt a grown up
Right.
meant that, no. But it's
Mm-hmm.
important for us to raise our children in love so that when they become adults, they know better and they know
Yes.
when to get out of something that is and it doesn't matter what other people say. I had so many people saying, "Oh, you're not going to let her see her dad, you're not going to let her see the other, you're not going." No, it's just,
Right.
and I'm a very transparent person, but
Right.
in the
Absolutely.
right environment. Not everyone is
Mm-hmm.
ready to receive your story, your truth, your decisions that you had to make, because you know why you made those decisions. And I just
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of times people are afraid. I was afraid. I did not tell my parents that I was being abused until my mother had to come to Texas to see about me because of the pregnancy issues that I was having.
Right.
You know?
Wow.
Ask T Jazz, can you do it then? Go ask T Jazz.
Nanny, nanny.
I think our
I'm gonna do
okay, now it's back.
it.
So wow.
But I just want them to get help. Like, just forget about, it's 2020. Forget about what people are going to say. People are going to judge you anyway. People are going to judge you if you stay. People are going to judge you if you leave.
Absolutely.
People are going to judge you. People are going to judge you. And I was
Yeah.
really, really worried about that. That I lied to my
Mhm.
family. I lied to my family. I lied to my
Mhm.
friends. I lied to people that mattered to me, to save face for what?
Yeah.
I almost
Yeah.
wasn't here, you know?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
almost wasn't here. And it's not worth it. At the end of the day, it's not worth it.
Right.
I
Yes.
just thank God that it happened really quick for me,
Mhm.
because when I say quick, meaning my daughter was only like 2 months when I was like, okay,
Right.
no.
Exactly. Mhm.
You can hurt me, but you can't hurt her.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
people that would like to hurt their own flesh and blood, they're sick individuals.
Right.
And
Yes.
there are some people, and people would tell me, "Oh, but prayer changes people, and people change, and you can't hold on to X, Y, and Z." And guess what? There are people dying every single day
Mhm. Mhm.
because they're not listening to people showing them who they are. Yes, people
Right.
change. They do change, but
Mhm.
not everybody. Not
Right.
everybody. And my child was not going to be a statistic of that. I wasn't going
Right.
to be a statistic of that. You
Right.
know,
Yes.
I wasn't. I
Mhm.
refused. I just encourage other people to refuse it as well. All love
Right.
ain't good love. It's
That's
not.
right. That's right. That's right.
All love is not good love. I went from making well over six figures with multiple um, bonuses, company
Mhm.
car, could go wherever I wanted to go, to $0.
Right. Mhm.
To $0. I
Mhm.
had to file bankruptcy. I had
Mhm.
a foreclosure. I
Mhm.
had everything that could negatively happen to someone. And
Right.
I continue to rise above it. And I'm not ashamed
Yes.
of it. You know, it's not something that I blaster all over social media or every chance I get, or talk about being a single mom, because I'm not owning being a single mom. I'm a loving parent. That's what
Yes.
I am. I'm
Yes,
a loving
Nichelle.
parent.
Yes.
I don't, you
Yes.
know, and to each its own, you know, I didn't think that I would ever be a single mom, you know, but it takes a village. And to me, I don't even want her hearing me say that. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm your loving parent. I'm going to make sure
Mhm.
all your needs are met, you
Mhm.
know, and that's what's really important to me, that my child gets out of this message,
Right. Yes.
you
Does
know.
anybody watching have any questions? Like, do you want to type some questions? Do you have any questions? um, Somebody said, my grandfather always said, you don't want no graveyard love.
No. I never
Yeah,
heard that one, but I'm going to use that one
I
tomorrow.
know. I've never heard that one either, but I like that. That's so true. Yes, that is so true. But Nichelle, like somebody wrote on here earlier as you were talking, they were saying you a mama warrior. You are amazing to share your story. And I'm so glad that that you got out of that situation. And that, like you said, you're still rising, you're still becoming Nichelle. And I know that it's been a journey. um, Somebody just wrote and said, what keeps you positive and motivated every single day?
I think knowing that God doesn't make mistakes. And I'm getting teary eyed on this question because sometimes I don't know. I just know
Mm,
every day that God gives me
yes,
breath in my body,
yes,
that
Nichelle.
I have to do good
Mm-hmm.
for myself, for my
Mm-hmm.
daughter, and for other people around me, because
Yes,
we can be the only interaction that someone sees, and
yes.
that you want it to be a good, lasting, good one. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm sure I've hurt people, or I may not been the best friend that someone had wanted me to be, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, been forgetful of certain things, or whatever the case may be. But when your intention and your heart is in the right place,
Yeah,
that makes the biggest difference, you know. And for
yeah.
me, that's what's just really important. So
Mm-hmm.
that keeps me going. You know, what would
Yeah.
my daughter think? What would my daughter think? You
Mm-hmm.
know, did I let something defeat me, or I used
Mm-hmm.
it to rise above, to help
Mm-hmm.
others? Um, because that's what's really important to me. It really, in the
Yes.
depths of my soul, it's important to me to help other people. Not pity
Yes.
parties. I don't like pity
Yes.
parties. I don't
Yeah.
like pity parties. It's
Mm-hmm.
really to help other people grow. And I don't want
Absolutely.
anything in return.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's
don't. It's
resilience,
like,
man.
you know, I
Mm.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone said, why did you feel you had to keep up appearances for social media?
Because I was so intertwined in so many different worlds, um, that I thought that that was important. I thought
Yeah.
that, you know, me having it all together or being put together was so important that I couldn't fail.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
had someone that was lying as if everything was perfect. And then again, I'm feisty. Gotta remember, I'm
Mm-hmm.
feisty. So now it look
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So I'm like,
Right.
what do you do? What do you
Mm-hmm.
do?
Mm-hmm.
Or people saying, I told you so. Or it was just a lot. You know, I've just always been a leader within my family. And I was afraid. I was
Mm-hmm.
truly afraid. And that's the God
Mm.
honest truth.
What's the legacy that you want to leave for Hannah Marie?
You know, it's so funny because she's teaching me what that legacy should be. You know, I'm
Mm.
reading this book, which is a really, really amazing book. It's called Indigo Children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's about children of like the new way of living. My daughter's different. She's nothing like
Mhm.
me. She's nothing like her DADDY. She's very different. She's similar to
Mhm.
me, you know, but
Mhm.
how she thinks, how she moves, it challenges me every single day. So
Mhm.
she's helping me create what this legacy is going to be. I
Mhm.
can't even, I don't have credit for that. Like this Happy Mama, Happy Minnie,
Mhm.
Hannah Marie, HM, like this legacy is because of her. She saved my life. She saved my life. And I can't wait till she gets older where I can truly sit down and have a grown woman conversation with her of
Mhm.
how I saw life so differently before she came along. I was never a
Yeah.
judgmental person, but I was one of those, oh, that wouldn't be me, or oh, I wouldn't do this. If this was me, I would do that. We don't know. We don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
know. And
Mhm.
every day she teaches me, you don't know. I've had a flat tire for 3 days now.
Mhm.
The old me, I would have stressed out. Oh my God, freaked out. What am I going to do? Oh my God. Da, 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 da. I was like, I just looked at it. Then my sister was like, oh, I think your tire's flat. I'm like, it is. Today was the first day I looked at it. She told me that 3 days ago.
Right.
What was more
Wow.
important was me in here being on this online schedule for her school, arts
Right.
and crafts,
Right.
lead day and night,
Right.
you know, all this
Right.
other
Yes.
stuff. So she changed me. Like I went from having an A1 clean, 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 clean house. My sisters would hate coming over. You get too many rules in here. So I'm like, oh, it's a mess. It's okay.
Mhm.
I'll clean it.
Yes.
It'll get clean. So that
Yes.
legacy is becoming also. But
I
one
got
thing
you.
is for sure, we're giving back through life-changing experiences. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
That's for
So
sure.
how does God fit into this picture? How does God fit into your life?
God has showed me. So I had my therapist, the child protective services therapist that was assigned to my case, said to me that God is going to give back to you sevenfold. I didn't know what she meant by that. I was like, no, he's not. I made all this money. Now I have nothing and blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
And I see that in a different way. Me and God have a very different understanding. One is a numerical understanding. 21. God speaks to me in 21. 21 is my favorite
Mhm.
number. And in many ways, God, my daughter, although born a month early, she was born on the 21st. People that don't
Wow.
know my story think I picked that date because I did have a C-section, but you can't pick a C-section 4 weeks in advance. Like that's not how that goes.
Right.
That's not how that goes.
Mhm.
But so that's how God speaks to me, and He challenges me every week. I have a small group, and even though we have not been able to physically be in each other's presence, every
Mhm.
Tuesday we're on Zoom um, with everyone together. So God is just miraculous. My daughter would tell you every night she prays for God, Jesus, and love. She said God lives in your
Wow.
heart. Um, he is my source of everything when I have nothing.
Mhm.
And there are days where I'm depleted, where I'm like, oh my God, to be very transparent, I got furloughed during this whole coronavirus thing. I got to move. My child goes to a very expensive private school and bills that won't stop coming. And I lost
Yeah.
my job.
Wow.
I hadn't even had time to like really shed a tear about it because I'm like, you know what? He's going to continue to provide. And if he took
Yes.
that from me, something else is going to happen
Yes.
that's greater and better. And during the
Yes.
midst of this, I'm still running my nonprofit and helping other
Yeah.
families through this disaster
Yes.
because that's what's important to me.
You're right.
And
That is so
that's
beautiful.
important to me.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Um, if you could say one thing to your abuser, what would you say to him?
Honestly, I would say that this may seem real weird,
Mm-hmm.
but that I love him. And I love him because of who he forced me to become.
Mm-hmm.
I love him because he gave me a child that only he and I could have made together. Only he and I could have produced a Hannah Marie.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that in my heart because God doesn't make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to having her, I was told I wouldn't even be able to have children. So it's just how everything happened. She's supposed to be here. And he came in at a time in my life where I needed to be distracted from some things. And that's what God did. He truly distracted me, and this man swept me off my feet. And I did feel love. Although it wasn't real love in the end, it was the love that I needed to get through what I was going through, to not be afraid. And for that, I love him. I love him.
That's
I forgive
amazing.
him. And I've learned through my faith walk, through my therapy, just because I love him and just because I forgive him does not mean that I'm going to withdraw my permanent protective order.
Absolutely.
I'm going to lay down my guard when it comes to my child. I'm going to allow you to continue to hurt. No. I could never look my child in her face and say, I hate your father.
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't. Because if my mom said that to me about my dad, I'm like, well, damn, that's a part of me.
Right.
And I just
Right.
want her to know, you are loved. You were made in
Yeah.
love. You're supposed to be here. And although he's a sick individual, he is
Mm-hmm.
loved from afar.
Yes. Yes. That's powerful, Nichelle. That's powerful.
I wouldn't even tell him to get help. You know, he's already on like a third marriage situation. Like, it's dude's sick. He really is
Mm-hmm.
sad. But I would just tell him that I love him for who he forced me to become.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my relationship with God. God forces me to do things.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't see the writings on the wall and be like, oh, I guess, I should probably turn left. No. That thing is boarded up, locked
Girl.
up. God's like, now do you see? Now do you
Right.
see?
Right. Right. Yes. What are you grateful for today?
I am grateful for today. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for you because I have wanted to share pieces of this for a long time. And I wasn't even at my launch of my nonprofit. I wanted to, and I couldn't.
Wow.
I just couldn't. And even my sister was like, oh, you're going on live. What's the questions? I was like, I don't know. She was like, wait a minute, you don't know. She was like, don't people supposed to like give you a heads up? I was like, I trust her. I trust her.
Right.
I don't know. We're just gonna roll with it. And and she asked me
Mm-hmm.
to do this, and I wasn't able to do it before because of everything
Right.
I had going on. And I'm
This was
just
the
grateful
right
for
time.
you for allowing me to share with you to get these emotions and feelings out.
Yes.
Because I have not said the things that I've said out loud to people outside of my family and my therapist. And even some pieces my family still don't know. But so I'm grateful for this opportunity. This, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, after I reflect on this, will allow me to be able to move in some different directions in my life that was kind of like mentally holding me back.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, I'm grateful for you too, friend. Seriously, like your story is amazing. You know, we tried to do this before and it didn't work out because of, your schedule. But I think this was the perfect time. I think it was right now, right here with these people that are watching. And so I'm so grateful for you. I'm so, all I could think about is Braveheart. Like,
Mm-hmm.
brave heart, brave one you are, brave one you are.
Thank you.
And, and I know that the women that you've already helped in secret, there are going to be many more. I know that the Happy Mama Happy Mini is going to continue to grow. and, beyond probably what you would have ever imagined. Um, and I think that a lot of times, when we look at our lives, we don't realize that the pain that we had to endure, the pain that we had to cry through endless nights, as you were talking about earlier, um, is what makes us who we are today. And sometimes I think that we run from the pain. We try to suppress the pain. We numb the pain with drugs, with alcohol, with eating, whatever that vice is, we numb it, or we try to do away with it, when really we're supposed to go through it and feel it. And because on the other side of it is the becoming. On the other side of it is the strength that we didn't know we had. On the other side of it is this beautiful story that is going to touch women and men all over the world that we would have never imagined, you know? So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful that you had the brave heart to come on here and just share your story so beautifully, and be transparent and vulnerable. And especially in a society and a world that is fake and phony and, like you were talking about, putting up facades, and not genuine people, because of social media and, all of those type things. But to really, really, and this is for even the people that are watching, encouraging us to like take those layers, remove those layers, because at the end of the day, being fake and phony really doesn't serve us well. It's not even, we're not even giving ourselves a fair chance to be who we really are. And out of this, you are emerging into this beautiful person that
Oh, thank you.
you were already intended to be, So so kudos to you, like brave heart you are. Um, does anybody have any other questions before we go? Because I think that it's going to cut us off, Nichelle, in a minute.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other questions? Um, Everybody's waving. Hey, y'all. Hey. um, let's see. I don't think they do, but again, girl, listen, I love you with
I
my
love you
whole heart. I
too.
do.
Thank
I love you. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And I'll talk to you soon.
you. Yes. Mwah. Kiss the baby.
I
For
love you.
you, the big
I
girl. I love you
will.
too.
I know. See you,
Thank you.
okay?
Okay. Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye-bye.